Okay, Roxy, do you have a question?
Hi, Roxy Filson, the One Campaign. One has over 2 million members who've been submitting questions for today, and their number one question, as voted by them, is from Simon Sintamu from Tanzania, and he asks, why should we Africans expect President Sarkozy, Chancellor Merkel and Prime Minister Berlusconi to live up to their 2005 promises and commitments, while many of our leaders are not living up to their promises to eliminate grand corruption, nor are they meeting their commitments to the African peer review mechanism?
These one activists ask excellent questions. Arunma, do you want to?
Okay, I'll start. It's a really valid point. The African leaders must be held accountable. We Africans need to be on the driver's seat and need to be the example. However, those who suffer from the consequences of corruption and poor governance suffer more if aid is not scaled up. And today, aid is smarter, and therefore aid is focusing more on making sure that funds and support is directed at those areas and those countries and those governments that are applying good governance practices. So I would actually say that to be able to better hold the African leaders accountable, that President Sarkozy and Chancellor Merkel and Prime Minister Berlusconi, by honoring their promise, they're better able to help us hold African leaders accountable. That said, there's a lot of progress that we've seen over the recent past on governance in Africa. We're seeing Africans being more demanding of their leaders. We're seeing civil society in Africa being very active, and we're seeing a number of governments responding very positively to the value of good governance and eliminating corruption in Africa. But it's clearly an important issue, and we ourselves at the African Development Bank ensure that the funds that we get from donors and pass on to Africa are guided by the principles of good governance. In fact, for you to be able to benefit from the African Development Fund, we have a performance-based allocation system, which means that the higher performers get more of the money, and one of the critical indicators in our performance-based allocation is actually issues around governance.
Yes, I would just want to say, that we have been very badly served by many of our African leaders. They have been lousy, and we ought to be quite clear about that and unequivocal. Part of the problem, of course, has been that we've not always been able to have a vibrant civil society. It's developing in many places now where they are getting to say we want an accountable government. And I think, that one of the good things about having a black president in the White House is that he can, and I hope he does, say to them, look here, you guys, I am one of you. Don't let me down by being as lousy as some of you have been. And they can't accuse him of being sort of neo-colonialist because, yeah, the complexion helps. But I think, though, too, we mustn't forget how people were subverted by the West. You know, we had a Savimbi in Angola because the United States wanted him there as a surrogate in the Cold War. Mobutu, was buttressed by his. Yes, you still have to say, why did they agree to be used in that fashion? They were used. And we've got to say, we hope, that the West will clean their slate too, and not and not use some of our gullible leaders in the fashion that they did in the past.